for Module Unit 2, which is going to cover chapters 3 and 4 in the textbook. And so here I am on the Canvas site for the course, and I just wanted to give you a quick rundown. Remember, as always, you're going to find the PDF lecture material under where it says Study This. You can read about the quiz structure and the study guide. You have your images to memorize, and again, mostly since this is an online class, you're going to be memorizing information about the artist and the image, which will help you out in the quiz. If you like to print flashcards, you can download those here and print them. You've got a few optional resources, and let's take a quick look at the review questions. As always, I encourage you to have these review questions printed if you're old school, but open on your laptop or on your tablet. So as you're studying and as you're doing the assignments, you can be working on the review questions, which you can then use as a study guide when you're taking the quiz and the exam. So here are the review questions for chapters 3 and 4. And I've highlighted the review questions for the Civil War, the U.S. Civil War. So we've got a question about Matthew Brady, Alexander Gardner, Frederick Douglass, and what war images look like at this time. So I'm just reminding you to be the most efficient studier that you can be, and work on these review questions as you're going, as you're reviewing the lecture, as you're watching the videos, etc. All right, and now I'm just going to quickly go over the discussion post. So the discussion post for Unit 2 is going to focus on Frederick Douglass and a speech he gave called The Power of Photography. So Frederick Douglass was, I'm sure you guys know something about him. You'll learn a little bit more. That was my cat jumping down. Bye, Dorothea. Okay, sorry about that. Frederick Douglass was born a slave in 1818, and he escaped slavery. So he was a really unusual person at that time. And he became an important public speaker at the time of the Civil War. So he traveled all over the United States lecturing, calling for an end to slavery. He was also a writer, newspaper editor, and he had some really interesting beliefs about photography at that time and the power of photography to change the way people thought about African Americans and other important issues at that time. So you're going to start out with the introduction. Read this over. This is going to give you the background information that you need. I embedded several photographs of Frederick Douglass because you're going to find out that he became the most photographed American in the 19th century. So the goals for this assignment: become more familiar with the African American abolitionist leader Frederick Douglass and his place in Civil War history. You're going to learn about his thoughts on photography and his belief in photography's ability to positively affect people's perceptions of African Americans in society during the Civil War. Discover why he consciously he tried to be photographed everywhere he went, and he controlled his image very carefully. So he dressed the way he wanted to be seen, and he was very careful to get the best view. He was the one who was always saying, "Can you just take one more so that you can get the best view of my face?" Because he wanted to be known. And he also wrote biographies and then gave these speeches. So one of the videos calls him a gifted social media influencer of his day. And so you're going to think about why that is. And we're going to look at his empowered visual alternatives to racist, stereotypical portrayals of African Americans in the media at that time. And we're going to consider how our understanding of the past and present change when we consider history from multiple perspectives. So for a long time, we really didn't think about Frederick Douglass' role that much. And now we're lucky to have a lot more research done about him and some really interesting books. And so we know more about him. All right, so there's 3 things that you need to do. The first thing is you're going to read this short biography of Frederick Douglass. I copied this from the Library of Congress website. So you can go to the Library of Congress website and read it, Or you can just read it here. So here it is. Here's his bio that I copied. And as you read this, you want to take some notes. Think about, why was he such an important leader for his time? What did he become famous for? What is an abolitionist? And please take notes as you read this and think about it. You can use your notes then for the discussion post. All right, so the first thing you're going to do, read a short biography of Frederick Douglass, which is pasted right here for you. The second thing you're going to do is read a very short blog post from the Library of Congress. And this is written by a woman named Melissa Lindbergh, and it's called Frederick Douglass and the Power of Pictures. And this is the speech that one of the speeches that he gave about photography. These talks that he gave were sort of like TED Talks, except obviously they weren't recorded. They were delivered in person, but he traveled all over the country giving these speeches. Thousands of people came. He became very famous for these speeches. And this one is called Pictures in Progress, and it's about the power of photography and why he thought photography was such an important invention. So as you read the post, think about what Douglass says. Why Douglass says that Daguerre, remember we already talked about Daguerre, the early inventor of photography, why his invention of photography was so important. Was Frederick Douglass interested in getting his own photograph taken? Did he have a lot of photographs taken of himself? What did Douglass think photography offered to ordinary people, and why? Was it easy to find a photography studio to get your picture taken in Douglass's time? So remember, back then, only a few people owned cameras, so you had to go to a photography studio to get your picture taken. And Douglass says photography studios are everywhere. Even in the smallest towns, you can get your picture taken. How did he style himself when he was getting his photograph taken? He was very careful about what he wore, about the camera angle. He wanted to look his best. What power did Douglass think that photographs, also cartoons and drawings, had over people's opinions? So take notes as you read the blog post and consider these questions. So, first thing, read the bio. Second thing, read the blog post. You guys can click on this link. It'll take you right to the blog post. Here is the blog post, Frederick Douglass and the Power of Pictures. And you can see there's a lot of pictures, but it's very, very short. So don't worry about that. It won't take you that much time. And then the third thing you're going to do, so you can click, this is embedded. You can click and watch this right here on the Canvas page, or you can watch it on YouTube. And this is a short, this is from the people who make Black History in 2 minutes or so. And this is a less than 3 minute video on Frederick Douglass and his role, his relationship to photography. It's really interesting. And so that'll be the third thing. You're going to watch that. And in the video, pay special attention. There's a very short appearance by Deborah Willis. And Deborah Willis is an extremely important African-American photo historian. She's a professor at the Tisch School at New York University. And very interestingly, she's the mother of contemporary photographer and artist Hank Willis Thomas. You can click on his website, who is, a lot of the earlier work that he did was very influenced by images of slaves. So it all kind of, links back together. As you watch this video, guys, 3 minutes, you can do it. This is a really interesting video. Think about, why did the image of photography allow all social classes to have portraits made of themselves? Why did Douglass see photography as a way to, quote, reclaim the image of Black people? Why did this image need reclaiming in the first place? How did he combine his speaking voice, so all these lectures that he gave, and his writing and his photograph to help the image of Black Africans? And why does the video say that Frederick Douglass was a gifted social media influencer? We think of social media as being of our time. There was no internet back then. There was no, Snapchat or, any TikTok, anything like that. So why do they call him a gifted social media influencer? Does this relate to social media today? And you can also start thinking about, who do you think uses their social media platform today to bring attention to important social causes? All right. So the instructions, this discussion post has 2 parts. You're going to make your initial post to the discussion, and you have the due date, and then you're going to make your replies to 2 people. And I want to caution you guys, I know that you all want to write your own answer, but it is absolutely plagiarism. If you go on to the discussion post and copy something that someone else wrote, I'm going to give you a grade of 0 because that's what I define as plagiarism. So please don't do that. You want to take your own notes and then answer the questions in your own words. So these are going to be your replies. If you need help to reply to a discussion, there's a little link here. But here's the initial post. So we have these 3 resources. First, the biography. According to the biography you read above in this assignment, why was Frederick Douglass such an important figure during the Civil War? I do not want you to Google this. I want you to focus your attention on the resources that I'm giving you here. Read and watch them and answer these questions based on those 3 resources. Otherwise, you're really not getting the point of the assignment. So read the bio, what contemporary issues were important to him, what was an abolitionist, and what did an abolitionist believe at that time. All right, so that's the bio according to the blog post. So now you go to the blog post and you look at your notes and you answer the question, why did Frederick Douglass think photographs were so important? How is this related to the price of having a photograph taken of yourself? In Douglass's time, was it expensive to have a photographic portrait taken of yourself? Who could afford it? And that's part of the reason that he feels that photography is so important, was its affordability. Did he think it was important to look your best when you had a photograph taken of yourself? All right, so that's the second resource. For the third video, which is, remember, 3 minutes. Watch it on YouTube and then answer these questions. How did Douglass use portraits of himself in his speaking voice? What important message did he want people to hear? And why does this video consider Douglass to be an important social media influencer, even though he lived 150 years before the invention of social media as we know it today? All right, and finally, the final question is going to be some of your own personal opinions. Do you think that photographs posted to social media today shape what other people think of you? Do you pay attention to the way you dress and are styled when you have a photograph posted to social media? Which social media influencer do you think uses their social media platform to bring attention to important social causes? So today, who are some of your favorite influencers? And are they bringing attention to important social causes? In your opinion, how do they compare to Frederick Douglass? And do you believe, like Frederick Douglass did, that photographs influence people's opinions, whether positive or negative? So there's your initial post. There's a lot of questions, but believe me, it won't take you that much time. Once you read and watch the resources above, you'll be able to answer this. And then you want to reply to peers. And remember, as you read your peers' posts, you can have your review questions out and you can be answering them. And the citation guidelines. So listen up, folks, this is important. If you use information from the resources that I've included here on this discussion page, so the bio, the blog, the video, then you don't need to cite your sources. That's free information. It is my expectation that you focus only on the resources I provide here. If you do consult other web resources, you must cite your sources and include a works cited list at the end of your discussion post. If you don't do this, you're going to receive a grade of 0 because that's plagiarism. The point of this discussion post is to guide you to explore these specific course resources. So please resist the impulse to randomly Google other sources and stick with those I've given you here. And part of the reason for this is that the quiz questions are going to be based on these resources, not on some random Google search of the broader internet. So please do that. You can see the rubric. Your initial post should be 200 words minimum. Believe me, once you start writing, it won't be a problem. And you can check out the rubric below. I'm giving you citations for all of the resources. So you guys, I went out to the internet and I researched Frederick Douglass and his beliefs, and I found photographs of him. And I'm telling you that I did this. The reason you know that where the information in this assignment came from is that I'm giving you a list of citations. So these are all the sources that I used to write this. And then finally, at the end, I'm including some optional resources. If you feel like you just didn't get enough on Frederick Douglass, you can read one of his actual speeches. You can read his obituary. So that's the newspaper notice of someone's death. And then I'm just including some other Civil War resources here just in case you're interested. These are completely optional. You can totally ignore them if you want to, but if you do want them, they are here. All right, so I hope that gives you an idea of what I'm looking for this discussion post, and I hope it's enjoyable. It's going to be worth 15 points, and take care, and you know where to find me if you have any questions. All right, good work, everyone.